Well, let's bring you this discussion now. Johannesburg residents could face a dry festive season as the city's primary water source continues to drop to critical levels. The mayor, Dada Morero, says more restrictions could be in place if the supply does not improve. He joins me in studio this evening to outline his plans. Mr. Mayor, good evening to you and thank you very much for your time. Let's start with...
Good evening.
Thank you, sir. Let's start with that commando system. How critically low are the levels there?
Well, the levels are quite low. We're probably sitting at about 40%, which is really not helpful to us. And the demand is higher than what the supply is. So we are basically calling on our residents also to help us manage the consumption so that we can at least continue to provide. Of course, they'll experience low water pressure, and this is as a result that the reservoirs would not be full to the capacity, which is really about at least 60% and above, and we're unable to pump to that level. So generally, we are requesting that the residents should try and use the water sparingly.
What would an extreme scenario look like?
Well, an extreme scenario is when we are below 40% or much lower, which would mean that we are in trouble. But we don't think we'll get into trouble or extreme trouble as long as residents could do what the city is calling on them to do by observing the level 1 water restrictions, which means don't water your garden, don't use drinking water for washing your car. Those type of little things we think they'll help us to maintain and reduce the consumption to acceptable levels. Yeah. Over the years, Xoli, what has happened is that Johannesburg apportionment from Rand water has actually went beyond the 1,500 that they've been allocating to Johannesburg. We're sitting just over 1,750, which remains a problem. But there are factors, several factors that has led to this 1,700, which could be illegal connection, leaks in our water infrastructure, and which is more concerning is behavior of residents wherein we use water without understanding that this is a scarce resource and we just use it as willy-nilly, which creates a particular problem.
I understand there is a reservoir that is currently under construction.
Yes.
Where exactly is it and how will it ease the pressure once it comes online?
It's in Brixton. We're building a 27 megaliters that we're building in Brixton, which we think is going to ease the pressure in the area, Auckland Park, those areas coming this way. It will then reduce the pressure quite significantly once we unveil the water reservoir in April 2025. That's our target date to deliver and hand over, which will help us because it's an increase from the current, I think the current levels are just around 18 or so. So we're increasing it more and to provide. But over and above, it also gives us more hours as and when there are interruptions, which is a good thing. It will help us to ease the pain whilst we need to fix something. We'll have more hours, which will give us just over 18 hours to be able to do the repairs.
Earlier, you touched on plugging the water leaks. This is a long-standing problem, Mr. Mayor. What's taken so long to deal with it? Or what are the challenges
to fixing the leaks?
To fixing these leaks?
Well, the biggest problem, Xoli, it's financial. We need just over R1 billion to deal with our reservoirs. We've got just over 45 that we have identified immediately that needs to be refurbished because they are leaking and all other issues. So you can't store water in those reservoirs. So it requires you to then invest that money to fix the reservoir.
Yeah.
We are also fixing and changing the pressure valves. I think there's about 685 valves that needs to be fixed. And so far, we've just fixed and changed about 145. So we think by the next financial year, we would have fixed all the 600 pressure valves, which are important for us to be able to control the distribution of water in our reservoirs.
I'll tell you what the Water and Sanitation Minister is saying.
Yes.
He told us on this show not too long ago that all of this is self-inflicted. How do you respond to that statement?
Well, I listened to the minister, and you'd remember that the statements by the minister was the fact that when we're supposed to act at the right time, we did not act. And we allowed the behavior to continue. And you'd see that some of our municipalities, especially Johannesburg itself, we had challenges with our infrastructure, and we've been trying to fix the infrastructure and raise the capital. But understanding what the minister would have said is in relation to how we behave in terms of water usage. We use water, we've got deemed consumption areas where you find people, because they are not paying, they're paying a flat rate for water, then they use water not sparingly. So those are some of the self-inflicted problems that we ourselves created or contributed to them. So that is why you'd see that there's a shift in the city to start installing prepaid meters. But what we're also realizing is that the same prepaid meters are being breached or bypassed by residents, even big business that have also been caught having breached water meters. So we need a consistent campaign, and I think the minister would have tried to speak to our ability to be aggressive on addressing the water challenges. Yeah. And that is why for the longest of time, we are now sitting at 1,005, when in fact we should have put the interventions earlier. And in 2022, 2023, then we said, these are the interventions. This is our water strategy, water demand management strategy. We are putting in place these interventions to try and help us reduce the consumption, to help us deal with the infrastructure. And hence, you'd see today we're budgeting just around R1 billion on an annual basis with an intention to deal with water leaks. But we need much more, and unfortunately, we can't stretch our budget beyond the 1 billion that we have. So we are looking at other innovation or different ideas to raise capital to address the water infrastructure.
Side issue, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
You would not have escaped this one now that you're seated in front of me. The case involving MMC Kabelo Kwamanda. Yeah. What's the status there?
As you know, that we took a decision to put him on a special leave to allow us a process of consultation, because you'd understand that by law, you don't just make decisions, you must allow a process to happen and a process to unfold. And I think in the next 2 days, which we did make a commitment that by Friday, would have been done with what needs to be done, and then we'll give an announcement of what is the final decisions that happen. But council does have its own processes, Xoli. Once a councillor has been found to have committed or alleged to have committed a crime or has been charged of a particular crime. So there's processes. And that is why what we did, Xoli, was immediately put him on special leave after we've also had a meeting with him, and immediately consulted with our legal department, which then advised on the route that we need to take, and also touch base with the Integrity Commissioner of the city. Now, in between, we're then touching base to inform the political structures of what we did, and what we did will eventually result in us making a final announcement. So if you give us a few days, the matter will now be closed and we will give you a report publicly.
All right. So I guess just as a very clear message, the city of Johannesburg residents should expect an announcement around this MMC by when?
Well, we think by Friday we should be ready to go out publicly.
The mayor of City of Johannesburg.